Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So for this tutorial I'm gonna explain how I do the frame by frame animation, which I mostly used in my project back when I took animation technique. It's actually a simple process, but it's just time consuming. But as long as you understand the concept, you should be fine. Hope I can deliver. So right now I'll try to make him do an eye blinking. But before I do the eye blink, I need to explain that each of his body's parts are actually separated into different layers. So for instance, if I make all the layers invincible, you can see that each part is separated, as you can see. Why is that? Well, as I explained in the previous story, I want to be able to select each part on its own. For instance, if I made the eyes in the same layer as the face, I'll cut it with Control X, just for an example, and go to the face and paste it. Oops. If you want to paste the art in the exact same position, you hold Control Shift V. So I paste the eyes in the same layer as the face. Right now, if I want to choose the eyes only, I won't be able to do that because it's in the same layer. The only way to do that is actually choosing every single piece of the eye manually, which is kind of tiring and troublesome, especially when you need to do that multiple times for the frame by frame animation. So that's why I always try to separate parts of the body like these in different layers. So I'll do Control Z to return the eyes to the layer of eyes. So yeah, right now I want to make the eye blinking. I will lock the face layer and the hair layer so that I can choose the eyes only when I do the selecting. And before I start the animation, I want to explain something which I explained previously in the class, but just for a quick refreshment. Let's say after 2 seconds I'm gonna make a normal layer here. You can do that by either selecting insert frame or just get used to the shortcuts like me to save time and press F5. So as you can see, if I play this now, I'll press enter. The animation, or let's say the art, will last for 2 seconds. It's kind of lagging because the screen recorder is slow in my laptop. Anyways, so let's say for instance, after exactly 1 second, I want his eyes to be closed. For example, in this exact millisecond, after 1 second passes, I want to make a keyframe. By the way, the keyframe can be inserted either by pressing insert keyframe, or just press F6. And keyframe means that you are going to make a change in your animation in this particular keyframe. I'll choose this, delete. Of course, because I am in here right now, as you can see, the red line is targeting this particular keyframe. I'm gonna make a closed eye. Oh, I'm gonna make the stroke 3 and... Alright, right now he looks like he's closing his eyes, and that only happens when you reach this particular keyframe. So if I return here, as you can see, it's still open because all of these are following the previous keyframe, which is this one. The moment you reach this keyframe, it's gonna transition into a closed one. So that's the idea of keyframes. All the normal frames after this keyframe will take on the closed eye following this one. Alright? Why is this important? Well, if for instance I delete this, I went here and made the change, I'm not actually changing this in this particular keyframe because I didn't make any keyframes. This change will follow the previous keyframe, which is this one. Right now I don't have an open eye because I changed this keyframe. I didn't make any new one. So that's the whole idea. That's why you need to make keyframes in order to make changes in your animation as the timeline moves and as the animation goes to playing. So I'll Control Z and return my eyes. I'll start making the animation for the eyes. If I wanted to blink, I really want a really quick blinking, so I am gonna make keyframes close to each other. I'm gonna make a new keyframe here, F6, and I'll just make the eye close a little bit. I'm gonna choose these, and by the way, you can select them like that by holding Shift and clicking on the parts you want. Oh, I want to collect this only and raise it a little bit. Same goes for that. Then you can delete these outside parts, which you don't really need. Well, the white background is gone, so I'm gonna replace that. Oh, I'm gonna have one line. The magnet is connected. The lines are connected. And I'm gonna fill it with white, fill color, and delete this. If in case you are lazy and don't want to make the same changes here, you can just copy this, Control C, Control V, and you want to mirror this, you can go to Modify, Transform, and you can do all sorts of things here. In our case, it's flipping horizontal. Of course, you can for example, I want to select this eye without selecting the eyebrows. So you can just do that and hold shift and select the different parts of the eye in order to prevent this from being selected. That also comes in handy sometimes. Alright, and get the eye here. You can control the size. I couldn't rotate it properly, so I'm gonna zoom and rotate a little bit. Alright, so he closed his eyes a little bit. As we can see, it's open. Close it a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna move to the right. Of course, you can move the cursor, the red cursor, by bigger or smaller sign, or like the dot and the column. To move the cursor, I'm gonna make a keyframe here, F6, and do the exact same process again. This part is gonna be the closing. I'm just gonna replace it with I'm gonna increase the stroke and make the eyes closed. Right now he closes his eye, but if I want to his eyes to open again, because right now if I play this, he only closes. A simple way to open it again, you can simply just copy these same keyframes again by pressing Ctrl Alt C, which is the keyframe before the closing, and paste it here, Ctrl Alt V, and copy this one afterwards the same way. And here you go, a blink. The animation works okay, I guess. So yeah, if you want to loop it, that's the loop tool to try it out. Of course, my laptop is lagging, so it's gonna be faster in your PCs. But hope you got the idea from this video. Alright, I want to explain the onion skin. I'm gonna try to make him slash his sword once. So for now, I'm gonna delete this by pressing Shift F5 or right click and remove frames. I want to target his hand and sword to make the slash. So for now I'm gonna lock everything and only allow the sword and hand to be selectable. And I'm going to turn the onion skin on. You'll understand why now. So first of all, I'm gonna make a keyframe here and here for the hand and the sword. Why am I calling it left hand? It is a right hand. What's wrong with me? And I'm gonna raise the hand in this keyframe. Also the sword. So you can notice that there is a transparent hand and sword, which actually displays the previous keyframe, because as you can see, the onion skin meter here is extended from this keyframe into the previous one. So anything that shows throughout these frames will appear transparent in here. And because my red cursor is pointing out to these two keyframes, it's gonna show this one. Of course, if I turn the cursor before and get this, it will disappear. So I want to continue on the slash animation, so I'm gonna make two keyframes here. Well, only the hand and the sword are appearing because you didn't extend the rest of the body. As you can see, only these two keyframes are appearing in this particular millisecond. That's why you need to make normal frames for the rest of the body. Why normal frames and not keyframes? Because you're not changing anything for the rest of the body. You're only changing the hand and the sword. That's why you only make keyframes in here. I'm estimating the slash animation to take around 1 second. So after this one, by 1 second approximately, maybe it's gonna be fine. I'm extending this. I made these two new keyframes. I'm gonna use them. I'm gonna make the hand go a little below the previous frame. Actually, I want this meter to only show the previous keyframe, so I'm restricting it into this one and the one before it, so that I'm showing the change I made now. And gonna change the sword. So right now I have the current keyframe and the keyframe showing, because I'm extending the onion skin between these two. If I extended it further, it's gonna show even one more keyframe, which is the previous one, but more transparent. That's the idea of keyframe. It just basically shows you a transparent image of the previous keyframes in order to be able to animate your animation properly and know the difference between this keyframe and the one before, which comes in handy when you are doing frame by frame animation. Now it looks more proper. Looks like he's actually swinging the sword down. More keyframes. I want my sword to be bending a little bit here, just to give the impression that it is actually moving fast. So I'm gonna select this and rotate it a little bit. I'm gonna close in to get this to magnetize the rest as well. Because in the middle of a fast slash, these bendings will not appear, but they might make a difference in giving the impression that the sword is struck down real fast. So right now, because I bend the sword, when I make new keyframes, this new keyframe will actually take on the new look of the sword, which is the bend one. In the previous ones, every time I make a keyframe, it takes the straight sword. But because I changed the sword into bending in this particular keyframe, when I make a new one, it takes on the shape of the bending. So yeah, keep that in mind. Alright, now we're supposed to have our animation. It's a little slow. If the animation is too slow, you can always decrease the number of frames between each keyframe to make it faster, like selecting these frames for instance and pressing Shift F5. Tell you what, I'm gonna delete all the in-betweens just to make it the fastest possible. Alright, now it looks like he's slashing his sword. I'm gonna loop this. Yeah, it looks like it's moving. Of course, this is actually a clumsy animation, but I did it quickly just to demonstrate the idea of frame by frame animation. You can always try and experiment with different speeds and different animations until you reach to the best animation possible for your work. So I hope you guys understood the concept of frame by frame. And if you got any questions, don't feel hesitant to contact me on WhatsApp or send me or even call me. I'll try my best to help out. Thank you for watching.